and ceremony for the 67th Cyberspace Operations Group. Today, we will bid farewell to Colonel John W. Picklesimer and welcome a new leader, Colonel Stacie L. Voorhees. Our ceremony today is a celebration of both continuity and change. Continuity in the form of a military tradition whose roots reach back through time to the legions of ancient Rome, to the passing of signets that once signified the transfer of command from one to another. Continuity and change, as this great command says farewell to an honored leader and welcomes his successor through a ceremony that differs only in style, not in substance, from those of the Romans. The presiding officer for today's ceremony is the commander, 67th Cyberspace Wing, Colonel Sean C.G. Kern. Please stand for the arrival of the official party and remain standing for the posting of the colors, the national anthem performed by the Band of the West, and the invocation.
Honor Guard, post the colors. Halt. Halt. Preset. Arms.
Staff Sergeant Arthur, please offer the invocation.
Lord, today we come to you with deep gratitude in our hearts for all the gifts you've given us each day: family, loved ones, good friends, laughter, and our great jobs. Help us always to receive these gifts with thanksgiving, and may our hearts be stirred to remember all of your mercies which we've received through your love towards us. We gather for this change of command, recognizing the powerful work done by the 67th Cyberspace Operations Group and how it is guided by talented, creative, and generous leaders. Let us each remind ourselves today that God brought each of us to our places of blessings and prosperity. Give our leaders wisdom as they work to fulfill the mission. Be with Colonel John Picklesimer, his wife Michelle, and their children Henry, Bridget, and Gavin as they move on to the next chapter in their family's life of command at the 67th Cyberspace Wing. The gracious blessing of his family enabled Colonel Picklesimer to be the generous and focused leader and powerfully and proudly served this command. Bless the heart and mind of Colonel Stacie Voorhees, who's surrounded and empowered by her daughters Kelsey and Brooke. And the constellation of loving and strong family and friends will bring a steady and true direction for this unit and its crucial mission. Direct her, and by extension of all those whom she leads, O God, in all the decisions with which she will be involved in the future. Direct her with your most gracious favor so that she may enable us to further our missions with your continual help. May all your judgments begin and continue and end with you. Your strength enables us to protect others. Your providence keeps us safe, helps us to turn our hearts towards you each and every day. It is in your name we pray. Amen.
Thank you. Honored guests, please be seated. We are honored to introduce the family members in attendance today. Please hold your applause until the end. The spouse of the outgoing commander, Mrs. Michelle Picklesimer, and their children, Henry, Bridget, and Gavin. Joining online, the parents of the outgoing commander, Mr. and Mrs. Charles and Vera Picklesimer. The children of the incoming commander, Kelsey and Brooke Voorhees. The parents of the incoming commander, Mr. and Mrs. Randy and Sharon Hartert. The brother of the incoming commander, Mr. Cooper Hartert. Distinguished visitors attending today are the spouse of the Deputy Commander, 16th Air Force, Mrs. Vicki Hensley. The spouse of the 67th Cyberspace Wing Commander, Mrs. Angela Kern. The 67th Cyberspace Wing Deputy Commander, Colonel Michael Winter. The 67th Cyberspace Wing Command Chief, Chief Master Sergeant Lance Power. The 567th Cyberspace Operations Group Commander, Colonel Nelson Aviles Figueroa. The 318th Cyberspace Operations Group Commander, Colonel Tarmani In. The 690th Cyberspace Operations Group Commander, Colonel Mickey Jordan. The 854th Cyberspace Operations Group Commander, Colonel Sean Zabel. And finally, Mr. Robert Kaufman. A special welcome is also extended to all senior leaders, friends, colleagues, and especially the members of the 67th Cyberspace Operations Group. Thank you for joining us today for this momentous occasion. It is now my pleasure to introduce the commander, 67th Cyberspace Wing, Colonel Sean C.G. Kern.
Lieutenant Colonel Miller, please put the formation at ease. You already did it? He's always ahead of me. Can y'all hear me okay? Do I need to get in a little bit closer? All right. Good morning. How am I not surprised that we have standing room only for the 67th Cyberspace Operations Group change of command? It's not even in my script. I'm just looking around at all these faces. JB, I see you, man. Welcome. We missed the group commander, Frank Izamendi. Chief, thank you for being here, Tech Director from the 68th Wing. So good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Band of the West. It's always exceptional seeing y'all as part of our ceremonies. I mean, absolutely brilliant, professional every time. Staff Sergeant Arthur for giving us that great invocation. She's our chaplain assistant, but she stepped in for our chaplain to give us God's word this morning. And of course, the honor guard from a UTSA ROTC, crushed it. That's our future right there coming into our ranks. It's pretty exceptional. So I'd like to say welcome to our distinguished guests, of course, commanders, chiefs, first sergeants, and airmen of the 67th Cyberspace Operations Group. Thank you for investing your time here today to honor these leaders as we conduct this change of command. And to Colonel Picklesimer's family, Michelle, I figured you go to almost every single one of them, so you certainly weren't going to miss this one. So, but of course, Henry, Bridget, and Gavin, it's just great to see you all. What a strong family. You should be very proud. So, Kelsey, Brooke, welcome to the Gunslingers and the Rough Rider families. And of course, Stacie's parents, Sharon and Randy, and brother Cooper, making that trip down from Kansas. Thank you so much for being here. Pardon me, and I apologize. So Charles and Vera are online, John Picklesimer's parents. So, hey out there. Sorry about that. That's what happens when you go off script. It's okay. So your presence here today elevates this ceremony. I want you to understand the significance of you being here today. It defines a moment that captures us at our very best, where we get an opportunity to honor these leaders. And yet another special moment where we connect deeply with each other as a 67th Cyberspace Wing and the 67th Cyberspace Operations Group to come together to celebrate the accomplishments of our outgoing commander and welcome our incoming commander to the gunslinger and Rough Rider families. Know that the support that you have given these two are absolutely the reason they're sitting in those chairs and we're at this point in time today. So thank you very much for your support. To the airmen of the 67th Cyberspace Operations Group, I know change can be hard. It might introduce some uncertainty, some ambiguity, but you need to know this. I can assure you that these leaders right here have been very deliberate and detailed in their handover. They know exactly what they want to do, and they know exactly how they're going to do it. Have trust and faith in them, give them space and grace, because as the intro to this ceremony said, this isn't just about change, it's about continuity. And you're going to see that in this handover between these two great leaders. Now, we're going to hear some awesome accomplishments about Colonel Picklesimer and what he achieved with his Rough Riders during his award citation, so I'm not going to go through all of those details. You'll hear that then. What I prefer to do is just kind of share what I've learned and observed with JP over the course of the 2 years that we've had an opportunity to serve together in this wing. Because he's absolutely, when you hear this, you'll know he was absolutely the right person to be the 67th Cyberspace Operations Group commander, and he's absolutely the right person to advance cyberspace operations for our nation in his next role. So when I think of JP, now bear with me. All right, bear with me on this one. I don't think it's as tortured as it might look on paper, but here we go. Have you ever seen Avengers Infinity War? Show of hands, Infinity War. So there might be a spoiler alert in here, just warning you in advance. There's a scene where Shuri, who's the chief scientist of Wakanda, is trying to remove the Mind Stone from Vision. And there's like 2 trillion, connections, neural connections. And if she doesn't do it just right, she could damage Vision. And what you see on the screen is this super complex 3D visualization of these 2 trillion connections. And she's painstakingly working through all of it under stress, right? Well, I put JP's face in that scene, and if you took that 2 trillion connections and you said, that's about how many things have to come together to do cyberspace operations right, now you're starting to get a vision of kind of what our airmen, work through every day and what Colonel Picklesimer leads them through every day. So here he is, he's manipulating this intricate, complex network, and he's pulling things apart. He's identifying connections that we don't have that we need, nodes that we don't have that we need, so that we could mature and advance the agility and lethality of our force. Whether it's aligning authorities, capabilities, intelligence and production, JP sees these and expertly develops and or manipulates them to achieve new and outsized effects for our nation. You envision those 2 trillion neurons and connections. And you put deliberate plans in place, and then you aggressively execute them to achieve the outcome, right? So it's a little more rare than it should be, but we have a leader here that has the means to not only have the vision for it, but see it through. There's some people that are good at vision, and there's some people good at execution, and there's some people that are good at both. And he's sitting in front of you today. Now, coupled with his strategic vision and outcome orientation is his desire to move fast, assessing risk as he goes. He needs a certain autonomy to be able to do that. And I recall a couple of times where he said, boss, I think we found the ceiling here. And what he meant by that was, we found the upper bound. Like, we understand where we've pushed the constraints of existing law and policy, and it doesn't mean stop dead, it means pause for a moment. Let's educate, let's inform, let's pull the team together. Let's help them understand why what we're doing is so essential, and then move right back out on place again. And we are better airmen, and we are a better cyber mission force because of that leadership. So thank you, JP, for setting such a strong foundation for readiness, for operational excellence, and innovation. And although he's not here today, I will gladly speak for him. Lieutenant General Kennedy has said JP's airmen are known across the Joint Force, and they're the people that our joint leaders ask for by name. That's very true. Now, Rough Riders, you're losing a terrific commander, no doubt, in Colonel Picklesimer, but you're gaining yet another great leader in Colonel Stacie Voorhees. Now, although I'm not the hiring authority for group commanders, I am asked for my assessment. And so when the cyber candidate list came out and I saw Stacie's name on the list, it made my decision, my recommendation extremely, extremely easy. And I made her my number one recommendation, and I'll tell you why. So we've worked together before in the other wing. Sorry, guys. The other wing. And she was the commander of the 69th Network Support Squadron. Also known as kind of AFIN Mission Assurance Center. Think Tactical Operations Center for all things that might go wrong on the AFIN. And there were two traits in the course of that time together that just really stood out to me. One, she almost has like this eidetic memory. She could pretty much sort of read things once and then just know it. And in those extraordinarily rare instances where she doesn't know it, she had this little brain book that she could flip to, point to it, and so she was always ready and prepared no matter what. That's pretty amazing. The second trait is we bring our 17 ex-commanders together, squadron commanders together for a course each time they get ready to go into command. And so she managed to get herself, on that agenda, and she was going to teach about the processes and procedures of the AFIN, so that AFIN AMAC, so they'd be prepared when they took command. And then she gave them her card and said, if you're not getting what you need, you call me, and we'll make sure it's taken care of. Well, what's so terrific about that is that she's team player. Like, she's invested in the success of others, and she's mission focused. Absolutely terrific, absolutely terrific. And as we go into maturing our cyber mission force, those processes and procedures are going to matter greatly. And what's really cool, this is the secret sauce of Colonel Voorhees, is she's not constrained by the current process. Like, she's absolutely willing to challenge it and make it better for all of us, which is precisely what we need right now in our force. So thank you for that. Now, since she left the 69th Network Support Squadron, she went to this amazingly terrific school called the Joint Advanced Warfighting School. I know a few people might have gone there, but anyway, really great school. And then where does she get to go as a function of graduating there? To U.S. Southern Special Operations Command, U.S. SOCOM, right? So what does she get to do while she's there? Just all the hard jobs. I mean, essentially, when you read it, you're kind of like, they didn't leave anything easy for her to do, that's for sure. So she started in J35, and she was the global integration lead for Global Special Operations Forces. She then moved to be the J3 Vice Chief of Staff, where she was serving as a senior advisor to the commander, the deputy commander, the chief of staff, and headquarters U.S. SOCOM. And then finally, as chief of the J3 Cyber Division and Joint Cyber Center, leading a 48-person division responsible for cyber, electronic, magnetic warfare, policies, plans, programs, again, in support of global special operations forces. So here's my takeaway if you put all that together. You understand the stressors, the unpredictable nature of the application of unique, specialized expertise in difficult, challenging situations. And that's precisely what we do in the 67th Cyberspace Operations Group. Persistently engage with our adversaries daily, providing national strategic options to our president and our combatant commanders, competing to deter. That's what we do every day. Now, Stacie, you're going to be entrusted with presenting ready and lethal forces to 3 subcomponent commanders, and you're going to also be responsible for the welfare of all your airmen. And I know you're ready for it. And those are weighty responsibilities. You're also going to be expected to provide advice and counsel to your wing commander and to higher headquarters. And where this will become especially interesting is we look to elevate AF Cyber to a standalone service component command. The very nature and character of the Cyberspace, 67th Cyberspace Wing and the 67th Cyberspace Operations Group comes into question as we consider how we might reimagine the way we organize our cyber mission forces and execute. And I look forward to solving all of that in the week that we have together. That's probably one of my biggest disappointments is we're not going to get a chance to work together a bit longer. But I know you're going to be absolutely sensational. So, Stacie, Kelsey, Brooke, welcome to the Gunslinger and Rough Rider family. And without further ado, let's recognize Colonel Picklesimer's achievements with his Rough Riders and press on with this change of command ceremony. Thank you.
Honored guests, please stand for the medal presentation.
Publish the order.
Attention to orders. Colonel John W. Picklesimer distinguished himself by exceptionally meritorious conduct in the performance of outstanding service to the United States as Commander, 67th Cyberspace Operations Group, 67th Cyberspace Wing, Joint Base San Antonio-Lackland, Texas, from 31 May 2022 to 12 June 2024. During this period, the exemplary ability, diligence, and devotion to duty of Colonel Picklesimer were instrumental in the resolution of countless complex problems of major importance to the United States Air Force and the Department of Defense. Specifically, he led over 800 military and civilian members to execute cyberspace operations in support of 5 combatant commands, effectively countering fielded enemy forces and creating detrimental dilemmas for multiple strategic competitors. Colonel Picklesimer oversaw 9 combat mission teams within his group, executing over 4,000 offensive cyber operations against 200 targets, degrading enemy weapon supply chains, removing 18 high-value enemy combatants from the battlefield, and supporting the recovery of 1 American hostage. Additionally, his visionary guidance ushered United States Cyber Command into the future, supporting the stand-up of the Joint Mission Operations Center, Texas, and managing the United States Air Force's $750 million power projection platform in support of strategic national objectives. Moreover, Colonel Picklesimer secured funding for a cyber communications overhaul using an industry solution to protect United States Air Force equities across the cyber domain, enabling over 50 discrete cyber effects to secure the 2022 midterm elections and counter the Russian invasion of Ukraine. Finally, under Colonel Picklesimer's leadership, his team leveraged National Security Agency, United States Cyber Command, and Air Combat Command resources to increase readiness levels by more than 30%, directly increasing the lethality of the United States Air Force's premier cyber mission force. The superior initiative, outstanding leadership, and personal endeavor displayed by Colonel Picklesimer reflect great credit upon himself and the United States Air Force. It is my pleasure to introduce the Commander, 67th Cyberspace Operations Group, Colonel John W. Picklesimer.
Perfect, thank you. Waldo, please put the formation at ease. Good morning, honored guests. Mrs. Hensley, Mrs. Kern, Colonel Winter, Colonel N, Chief Power, Colonel AV, Colonel N, Colonel Jordan, JD, Colonel Zabel, Rocco, Mr. Kaufman, Frank, good to see you, JB, thank you. Even Stacie Voorhees, the front row is awesome. The back row, all the way in the back standing, is star-studded. Tony Thomas, Jeff Blankenship, don't start the clock yet, Justin Booker, Richard Lipsey, Mark Snoddy, Greg Davis, the amazing, awesome Chief David Anthony, Coach Perez, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Chief Kearney, it's appropriate you're on the side of the family. I think that's very good that you're sitting over there. Thank you very much. Fellow commanders, chiefs, SELs, friends, guests joining online, thank you for taking time to be here today. It's an honor for me and the Rough Riders that you have chosen to join us for this ceremony. Mr. and Mrs. Harter, Cooper, welcome. Thanks for coming down to San Antonio. I appreciate it. Great to see you again. Kelsey and Brooke, welcome back to San Antonio. Welcome to the Gunslinger family. Fantastic to have you here. Colonel Kern, thank you for those kind words. Sir, as you would say, better than I deserve. I appreciate your leadership, guidance, and friendship over these last 2 years. You gave me all the latitude I asked for and then some. We definitely did hit a couple ceilings. And thank you for being the guardrail when I needed it. Captain Stacie, Lieutenant Smith, Airman Bretsky, Staff Sergeant Honors, multiple proffers, Colonel Wranglers, thank you. The Rough Riders in formation, thank you very much. The extremely talented Band of the West, you all. And of course, the best dressed man on Lackland Field, the man, the legend, Mr. Cornell Hoskins. Finally, thank you to my family for being here today and always. So yesterday morning, after a great color run sponsored by our ARG and the Coyotes, I had the opportunity to go speak at an AFA-hosted Cyber Patriot camp here at Stacie High School. Let me tell you, speaking here in front of all you, pretty easy. Briefing generals, no big deal. Talking to high schoolers, terrifying. So I opened with a terrible dad joke, that way it could only get better. Afterward, Bridget did text me I did a good job, so I'll take that as a win today. Anyway, we talked about my favorite subjects, America and cybersecurity. However, one of the questions asked, I think actually by Gavin, was, what's the hardest part of being in the military? I really had to pause. Honestly, I haven't thought about that question in a while, and I think at some point we all just do, regardless of how difficult something is. I finally answered, there's definitely no easy days, so my recruiting pitch is going great, sir. I said the hardest part for me is the travel. In the group, I have units in several locations, and we have mission partners all over. So I'm on the road a lot, and that's definitely the hardest part for me. Thankfully, we moved on and talked more about worms, viruses, and DDoS attacks. The question reminded me of some of the words of wisdom I received a long time ago from a mentor. He said, when we're away, we show our family how much we love them by doing our best. No matter if it's a deployment, a short TDY, or a regular duty day, it's not worth being away from our family, even for a moment, if we're not doing our best to get the mission done. So based on that, I would attribute any long-term success I've had to my family. So thank you again, Colonel Kern, for his very kind words. Waldo, Jake, of course, after a solid roasting yesterday. Thank you for your kind words. I appreciate that my family was able to hear that my time away, whether on a normal duty day, a short TDY, or a weekend, was well spent and appreciated. So Henry, Bridget, Gavin, thank you for being awesome. Of course, your mom and I make every effort to help you when we change locations and ensure you have the best opportunities. At the end of the day, it's on you to adapt and take advantage of those opportunities, and you do every single time. I can't wait to see the positive impacts you're going to make on the world, and I'll cherish every moment watching you get there. So now, if you've met Michelle, you know she calls balls and strikes. She's the one that reminds me that I can't always leave it on the field. I need to be present in both places. So balance, harmony, whatever you want to call it, I'm still working on it, and I'm glad I have Michelle to help me do that. Another mentor told me, JP, you're great, you're doing well, but you know what your best attribute as an officer is? And so you can imagine me standing there, wide-eyed, waiting for the compliment. He said, it's Michelle. And ladies and gentlemen, it's exactly what he said. It's on YouTube. It's well documented. No truer words have been spoken. So I got you a going away gift. Some of you may not have seen it as it transferred over. That's a fancy ceramic vase. It still has some liquid in it from the store, but I'm sure we can take care of that later. Thank you, Michelle. We make a great team. I love you, and I wouldn't want to make this journey with anyone else. So today it's also my privilege to talk about the amazing Rough Riders of the 67th Cyberspace Operations Group. The Demon Chasers, Firebirds, Coyotes, Cyberwolves, Ghost Riders, and Renegades. Y'all, these people, airmen, guardians, civilians, and contractors, are truly special. Our nation asks us to take on the hardest targets, and they deliver every single day. Whether it's crawling through the interwebs or the non-interwebs, analyzing, exploiting, developing, reporting, translating, planning, engaging, assessing, maintaining, building, briefing, and more briefing. We do it all. In addition to all of the tasks that make the Air Force work while taking care of people is absolutely amazing. The people in this great group are the ones that executed the largest op and then the longest op in Cyber Command history. The most impactful missions in the Pacific, Southwest Asia, Europe, Africa, and beyond, all airmen and a guardian from the 67 COG. They did all of that while achieving the highest readiness levels we've seen to date, set the standard for how to run Cyber Command infrastructure, modernize the most used information operations delivery platform in the DoD inventory, and pushed all the boundaries of expeditionary cyberspace operations. If you know, you know, but I'm here to tell you, when I see what they do, what we do, it makes me proud to be an American. So finally, I'd like to share with you one of my favorite moments, and then I'll leave you with my closing comment that I have on repeat with the squadrons. Chief Curry and I were visiting one of the squadrons after our walk-on music. That's right, we have walk-on music. Handing out a bunch of awards and answering a few questions, we began talking about OPBs, EPBs, decorations, and awards packages. In fact, we were complimenting them on their quality of work and discussing the long-term positive implications that can have on an airman's career. So I asked the question in the crowd, how many people in this room have had a discussion personally with the squadron senior enlisted leader about an EPB or an award? Y'all, every single hand in that auditorium went up. Jake, we were like, stayed speechless. Like, we didn't expect every single hand to go up, and we don't get speechless very often, so it was pretty impressive, I thought. But that's an example of the impact of high connection and high trust. Rough Riders and friends, we don't choose who our parents are, where we're born, or what we look like, or where we came from, but we can choose our attitude. That is the thing we can choose and control. It's the most unique thing you can bring to a situation. So I ask you to choose to bring positive attitude, everything you do. All right, Colonel Voorhees, Stacie, congratulations. I know your continued success is because of your attitude, your grit, your character. You are the right leader at the right time for the Rough Riders, and I couldn't be happy for you. Welcome to the team. Rough Riders, as always, thank you for your excellence. May God bless you, the United States Air Force, and the United States of America. Thank you.
At this time, the men and women of the 67th Cyberspace Operations Group will render their final salute to Colonel Picklesimer as Commander, 67th Cyberspace Operations Group.
Honorable lifetime. Thank you. Rough Riders, charge!
The ceremony you are about to witness is the briefest yet most significant of our military customs. All authority and responsibility are vested in the hands of the commander, a chain unbroken. To the Commander-in-Chief, President Joseph Robinette Biden Jr. Today, when Colonel Picklesimer relinquishes command of the 67th Cyberspace Operations Group and Colonel Voorhees assumes command of the 67th Cyberspace Operations Group, all authority and responsibility transfers to her immediately. The passing of the group's guidon culminates a series of significant achievements under Colonel Picklesimer's leadership, vision, and guidance, and reflects great confidence in the continuance of those achievements to come under the command of Colonel Voorhees. Honored guests, please stand for the official change of command.
Publish the order.
Attention to orders. Department of the Air Force, Headquarters, 67th Cyberspace Wing, Joint Base San Antonio-Lackland, Texas. Special Order Number G2410, dated 4 June 2024. By order of the Commander, Colonel John W. Picklesimer will relinquish command of the 67th Cyberspace Operations Group to Colonel Stacie L. Voorhees, Joint Base San Antonio-Lackland, Texas, effective 7 June 2024. Signed, Colonel Sean C.G. Kern, Commander, 67th Cyberspace Wing.
Sir, I relinquish command.
Sir, I assume command.
It is my pleasure to introduce the new commander, 67th Cyberspace Operations Group, Colonel Stacie L. Voorhees.
Good morning, commanders, chiefs, and fellow Big A airmen. Thank you for joining us today. Colonel Kern, thank you for those kind words and the opportunity to serve as one of your commanders, even if it is just for a short time. Your personal dedication to our people and mission and focus on delivering outcomes for our worldwide mission partners is well known, and I will give it my all to meet your charge. I am excited, humbled, and honored for the opportunity to command the men and women of the 67th Cyberspace Operations Group and its global reach and impact in support of combatant commander and service requirements as part of the 67th Cyberspace Wing, 16th Air Force AFCyber, Air Combat Command, and United States Cyber Command. I'm beyond grateful for the wonderful reception and support from everyone as Kelsey Brooke and I have quickly made our San Antonio our home again. JP, sir, it's been wonderful to spend this week with you and the team and catch up with Michelle. Thanks for the time and effort you put into me and the girls to transition smoothly and hit the ground running, on top of the personal investment you've continued to give the Rough Rider airmen, families, and missions. I know you and Chief Kearney and the command teams have been all in the last few years to set the conditions to successfully navigate the complexities of our environment and deliver solutions now and for the future operating environment. And there's still plenty of work to be done. I'm fully aware that there are big shoes to fill as your successor. Good news is you're gonna be my boss, so not too far away if I have questions. But sincerely, congratulations on your wing command, and I look forward to learning directly from serving under your leadership and how Chief Perkins and I can further advance the wing's priorities and mission requirements within the 67th COG. I'd be remiss without a few other thanks. Mom and Dad, the values of integrity, service, excellence, and respect were just how you raised me and my brothers. Fostered by trust, love, accountability, and encouragement, it prepared me pretty well for life in the Air Force and the Joint Force, and it means the world to me that you're here today for this important milestone and the constant support over the last 20 years of Air Force and worldly adventures. Kelsey and Brooke, love you ladybugs, and I am so proud of you. Your sense of adventure, spunk, humor, and love is motivating on a daily basis. You are absolutely gamers as we packed out of Tampa, and you haven't missed a beat as you're preparing to start high school and 8th grade at your 6th schools, and I look forward to this chapter of Texas adventures. Coop, thanks for being here. You're always there for me and your niecelings, and we just love you and are super proud. Special thanks to Lieutenant Colonel Miller, Captain Sisti, Lieutenant Gonzalez, Lieutenant Smith, Sergeant Bratsky, Staff Sergeant Arthur, and the Wing Protocol and PA teams for making today's ceremony success, in addition to the other thanks passed on by Colonel Kern and Colonel Picklesimer. But a huge thanks to the former commanders, mentors, battle buddies, coworkers, and friends from many former assignments here and online. I'm grateful for your attendance and, more importantly, the work and life adventures that we've shared together. To the cyber and intel professionals of the 67th Cyber Operations Group, the Rough Riders, every airman has a role in cyberspace, but you are the military, civilian, and contracted professionals at the core of offensive cyberspace operations. We're serving in an era of increased need and constant evolution of cyber capability, and our national-level decision makers, joint force, and mission partners require the capabilities that the Rough Riders deliver. For those of you who may be a little bit unfamiliar with the Rough Riders, we track the heritage and that ethos back to the first U.S. Volunteer Cavalry, which was a highly successful group of about 100 elite all-volunteers in the Spanish-American War who originally gathered here in San Antonio under Teddy Roosevelt's leadership. He described the group's makeup as all: Easterners and Westerners, Northerners and Southerners, officers and men, cowboys and college graduates. Wherever they came from and whatever their social position, possessed in common the traits of hardihood and a thirst for adventure. They were to a person born adventurers. It is that same ethos inherent in today's 67th COG Rough Riders. Like the original Rough Riders, our all-volunteer servicemen and women come from all sorts of backgrounds and bring their amazing talents and competencies and ingenuity to incredibly complex and technical problem sets, and are problem solvers every day standing in the arena against our adversaries. My promise to you is that I'm here to help you as we serve together to build and employ cyberspace and intelligence professionals to deliver the outcomes for our Air Force and nation. We'll continue to look at integrative approaches to foster the capacity, capability, and efficiencies of our personnel and the mission partner relationships that advance our critical mission sets. In the cyber and the cyber mission force environment, where there is always more to be done, we'll tackle the challenges, celebrate the successes, and have some fun along the way, while maintaining the imperative of staying focused on how we organize, train, equip, and present ready airmen, ready units, and ready weapon systems to execute and employ effects today and provide options for tomorrow. In other words, we're going to keep on getting after what we've been getting after for many years, and under the professional reputation and success that this group is so well known for. I'm excited to be on your team. Let's do this.
At this time, the men and women of the 67th Cyberspace Operations Group will render their first salute to Colonel Voorhees as Commander, 67th Cyberspace Operations Group. At this time, the men and women of the 67th Cyberspace Operations Group would like to present a gift to Colonel Voorhees' children, Kelsey and Brooke. Welcome to the 67th Cyberspace Operations Group. We look forward to your support during this assignment. In keeping with Air Force tradition, we will conclude today's ceremony with the playing of the Air Force song by the Band of the West. While it is customary for Air Force members to stand, we invite all of our guests to join us in standing for the Air Force song and the departure of the official party and distinguished guests.